Now it's time to move the data end to end, that is from the source are on-premise source as well as cloud sources, to the raw layer. After that, transform the data, curate it and store on curated layer. After that, move data to the consumption layer. So how we are going to do that? We'll bring the data to the movies raw container, movies raw for storage. After that, we will use Databricks to read the data from the raw layer and we'll store on the movies curated. After the data curation is done, we will push data to Synapse Analytics, that is also called as SQL Data Warehouse. In Azure Data Factory, I have one pipeline created. The first one will bring the data to the raw layer from the sources. Second one will curate the data, and the last one will move data to the consumption layer, that is SQL Data Warehouse. The first one is the execute pipeline activity. Inside that, we have three pipeline activities. One is for each source. So let me show you first this big brother. Second one is West Highway, and third one is for OpenGate. Databricks. For Databricks, I created connection. So how we create the connection? That is, first one, we have to provide the URL. URL is visible here. https://azuredatabricks.net, depending on the region you have selected while creating Databricks, and then access token. Access token is generated from user settings, generate new token, and generate. This token is visible only once, so make sure you copy before you close the box and paste here. Once that is done, you have to select the existing cluster ID. So you have choice whether you want to create ad hoc cluster or you want to choose the existing cluster. Once the connection is done to the Databricks, we have to choose the notebook. So where is my notebook? Inside users, my user folder, and movies end to end. I'll show you this one. Workspace. So the inside users, my username, the movies end to end. And the last one is consumption layer, that is connection to SQL Data Warehouse and one store procedure I have provided here. So let us go in the notebook and I'll tell you what I did in the notebook. So this T movies is a table. It's a kind of delta table I have created already. So this is a multi-line comment. This is not going to execute every time. I'm accepting one parameter, that is date path from the data factory. Let me show you that as well. So when we expand the base parameter, this is the argument I'm sending. Then as usual, I'm reading data from these three sources. Those are nothing but the path. Also forming one date till the seconds, starting with the year, and adding source column to each data frame to know from where the data is appearing, and at the end also adding the inserted on column, which is the date part we are forming here, and then just appending all the data which is coming newly to the T movies table. Post that, we are calling store procedure. So what is there inside store procedure? We have internal movies table, which has schema like ID, movie title, category, release date, source, created date, and active. I'm pulling the max date from the external movies table. External movies table is nothing but pointing to the curated layer. And then setting up all the records in the internal movies table at 0, which are matching with the external table. And then insert the newly inserted record or newly created records into the internal table. So let us go ahead and execute the pipeline. So let me trigger this pipeline. Today's date is 7, so I'm providing 7 as a date to the parameter. We see there are 5 pipelines now getting executed because end-to-end is the first one which we triggered. Inside that, this is the pipeline activity. Inside that, 3 are the sub-pipeline activities. These source to raw now got completed. We will go inside end-to-end. We see now curated layer, that is Databricks notebook activity is now getting run. So while it is in progress, we'll ensure data is present in the raw layer. Yeah, we see movie.json is being created. Open gate. Yeah. In the West Highway also, we see data getting created. Let us refresh. So Databricks activity and data and consumption layer activity also, that is store procedure activity also got completed. Let us see data in the Databricks. I'm just firing select command on movies table. Limiting 10 records only. You will also see how many records are inserted. Two five two nine. Inside consumption layer will ensure the records are inserted. 2529 records we see here. Let us do one more activity. I'll download one of the file. So download it. And let me delete it. And I'll just change the movie ID. So one ID, movie ID I'm changing. So this is going to be new title in 2020. This should be the updated one. So I'm going to upload this. Into new folder. Similar way I do for West Highway. So this is new, and this is updated. We will upload this file as well. 08. And the JSON file in Big Brother, we will add one record. So I'll just change the movie ID, so that will be treated as new movie, say 2020 new, and we will upload this one as well. So let us consider that this is a delta data we are loading from the source. We'll go ahead and execute the pipeline. I trigger now, and I'll provide new date here. So first activity will bring data again to the 7th folder, because by default it is, if you see, by default it is considering today's date in each and every activity. So let us ignore that. Let it bring data to this today's date folder, but this layer will consider the parameter which we have passed to the pipeline. So we just go to the monitor window, into end. A curated layer is completed. We'll see the data. So earlier it was 2529. Execute it. It is 2534. So 5 records we have added. So let us see those as well. So 2 updated from 2 sources and 3 new. So in Big Brother we just added new one. The third activity also got completed. We'll go to SQL data warehouse, and we'll put the same criteria. So 2534 total records. These are the active one, new one, and these are the new records. We will see if the old records are marked as active or not. Yeah. So 2 records which were updated got updated as active equal to 0. So in a nutshell, we have these many active records.